Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out today's episode of Hardball Sports Talk. My name is Brandon, and joining me, like always, is Alex. Alex, how are you today?
Good, Brandon. How are you doing?
Trying to stay warm.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
been a little
cold,
chilly outside.
yeah, and I've been hearing it's all over the country, so
Mm-hmm.
I hope everyone out there is staying as warm as physically possible at this point. This morning when I left for work, I think my work car said -10.
Nice.
So, yep. So it was a nice cold day this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been cold all day. But it's better than the 2 feet of snow we got over the weekend, though. I don't got to shovel cold. I got to shovel snow. So,
Fair point.
yeah. But, anyways, we had a very exciting weekend of football. We are both Detroit Lions fans, and we are both very pleasantly surprised with the game. There was a lot of interesting games this weekend, though, and we'll get to go over all of them. Tomorrow, we will come back and we will preview all of the games for this coming weekend. So I believe there's 4 games now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 8 teams left. So 4 games, four teams left in each conference. So we will get going to that tomorrow. And depending on what happens in the world of sports, you never know. Things happen all the time. People get fired, traded, whatnot. So maybe something will happen for tomorrow's episode also. But we're going to try to keep things a little bit short here the next couple days just because we feel like we've been going kind of long lately. So we want to try to go a little bit shorter for you guys today. So let's get started. We're going to do these games in order of when they were played. So the first game we're going to talk about is the Houston Texans absolutely destroying the Cleveland Browns. I'm not totally shocked that they won. I believe we both picked Cleveland to win this game. I think Cleveland was the better team going into the game. Clearly did not play like the better team. But I'm not completely shocked Houston won. I am shocked by how much they won by.
Yeah, it's same here. Yeah. If you were to tell me that in a playoff game at Cleveland with how good their defense has been, that the Texans would have put up 45 on them, I would have not have believed you.
Well, the game was played in Houston, but yeah, against this Cleveland defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're throwing me off by the scoreboard because usually the home team's on the right.
Yeah, I put the winning team on first just so.
So you make me look foolish here. All right.
Yeah. Yep. So the only road team that won, though, was the Packers. So when we get to that point, that's the only one that's the road team. But anyways, so it's not all on the Cleveland defense. Now, granted, they still allowed 31 points, but Joe Flacco threw 2 pick sixes, which is not a great recipe for success. No. So that's basically a up to 28-point swing right there. If you score touchdowns on those drives, it's a completely different ball game here. But that is not what happened. Houston made the plays, got the job done. Kudos to them. The reward for winning that game is a trip up to Baltimore. So that is a nice reward for them. I will say this, though. They are young and hungry, and that's a recipe for success, in my opinion. I believe they have a chance of making a run here against the Ravens. Yeah, wow.
I know you got distracted.
Yeah, I get distracted easily.
That's all right.
So it should be a good matchup there. We'll talk more about that one tomorrow. Moving on, though, we got the Kansas City Chiefs who won at home. I'll tell you that right now. It was a home game against the Kansas City. Kansas City Chiefs beat the Miami Dolphins. We are having a great night tonight, guys.
It's off to a great start.
Yeah,
it's because it's cold out. Let's just blame the cold.
Well,
kind of like how Miami did. Hey-o.
Yeah. Hey-o. Well, listen, it was kind of last minute, too. I wasn't really planning on having an episode tonight, but here we are. So Kansas City beating the Dolphins 26-7 at home. The Dolphins, I figured they would struggle in the cold. Like I said last week in my guest predictions, that Miami is like a fancy car. They're really fast and they're really cool, but you get those things out in the cold and they just don't run very well.
Yes.
So that was my comparison, and that's basically what happened. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in sports, to be completely honest with you, happened in this game, though. Patrick Mahomes dove for, I believe, the goal line and got hit in the helmet, and his helmet cracked. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Should
What's
have been
absolutely crazy, what's absolutely crazy though is the refs didn't see that because refs are blind, and he stayed in the game with that helmet for another play before anybody said, "Oh, hey, yeah."
yeah.
So
In my opinion, he should get fined, but he's not going to.
what do you get fined for?
Leading with his helmet.
Yeah, I guess, but he dove, so I mean, it looked like
You're
a dive.
still okay. It's just the same as the defensive tackle going low, and the defender goes low, or the offensive player goes low, and helmet to helmet, and the defender
Yeah,
gets fined. Like, what's he
that is
supposed to
true.
do?
That is true.
But it's
Yeah,
the
but offensive
quarterback.
play
I know.
well, offensive players will never get in trouble for that.
No,
It's
I
always
mean,
it's
how
always
many
on the
times do you see
defense.
the offensive running back lower his helmet,
Yeah.
crown of his helmet into a defender, and nothing gets called, no fines, nothing.
No, it's always on the defender, so
Mhm.
but Kansas City, we figured they'd win this game. They I still don't think they're the dominant team of years past. I this game, it was 26-7, but Miami also had a really bad game offensively with game call, like a lot of
Yeah,
screens and
yeah,
just weird play calling. So
yeah.
not really a great performance by the Dolphins. I would say more of that than a good performance by the Chiefs, to be completely honest with you. So I'm
Mhm.
still not completely sold on the Chiefs. Moving on to the next game, this one shocked me a little bit. Again, it's one of those things where I'm not completely shocked that the Packers won because they match up really well against the Packers or the Cowboys, excuse me.
Yeah.
The Cowboys defense, their weakness is the running game. And
Mhm.
it was why I said when the Lions played them that I would not be shocked if the Lions won that game. And the Packers' offensive philosophy is very similar to the Lions on let's control the game with the run. You do play action with Jordan Love, and that's a formula to beat the Cowboys. So the Packers did that perfectly. I was able to dominate the game 48. Really, they won the game by more than 16 points. Just a couple garbage time touchdowns by the Cowboys to make the score look a little bit more respectable. But let's not fool ourselves. This game was over pretty early. In fact, I saw an interview when I was waiting for you to come on. I was not scrolling on TikTok, and I saw an interview with Kyle Shanahan, who's the 49ers coach. And the question was, at what point did you start preparing for the Packers? And he said, well, we've basically been preparing for multiple teams all week, and then we were watching that game, and we started focusing on the Packers, but in the second quarter.
I like it.
Yeah. And then he goes, and then it got a little shady there for a little bit. And then third quarter, we're like, we can stick with the Packers.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that game was over pretty fast. Dak and company did not have a great game, which brings into question, will Mike McCarthy be back with the Packers, though? Not the Packers, the Cowboys next year. I personally, with the candidates that are out there right now, would not keep him on just because now I don't see Belichick going to the Cowboys, but there's a lot of people out there saying Belichick to the Cowboys.
Right.
I don't see that marriage happening.
I don't think him and Jones can get along.
No, no.
Not at
There's
all.
that's I mean, I understand in this business everybody's an alpha,
Mhm.
but those are two alphas.
Very when you're the GM and the head coach of your team for however long.
Yeah, and then or in the other case, you're the GM and the owner of your team for however
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
There's going to be a power struggle for sure.
exactly.
So
Yes.
that is not a fit if you ask me. I know
No.
a lot of people out there have been saying that, but I am not on board with that one. But we've said his name with every opening, but you got Ben Johnson. I don't think Harbaugh, another big personality. I don't think Harbaugh would be a good fit for the Cowboys either. Or even if you want to promote from within, I know Jerry Jones really likes Dan Quinn.
I'd say, do you slide Dan Quinn in there if you're Jerry Jones?
I mean, I think if he wanted to, he would have by now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're Tuesday 8:30 now Eastern time, and this game got done Sunday afternoon. I'm kind of shocked, honestly, that McCarthy still has a job. Makes me wonder
Right.
if he's going to keep his job.
Especially after, Jerry Jones's, interview at the end of the season where he said all the right things, and then he added we'll take it, game by game
Yeah,
with,
Jerry Jones
McCarthy
always
here.
says one sentence too many.
Yeah. Yeah. If he cut that part out, then okay, but you added
Yeah,
that, then you knew he was already looking for his next head coach.
yeah. He's always looking for his next head coach. It's They might be America's team, which I don't think they are anymore. I honestly, as much as I don't like them, I think that title goes to the Packers now.
Mhm.
But yeah, you heard that here, Packer fans. I just said the Packers are probably America's team. Don't let that go to your head, though. Right now, though, America's team is your Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are both sitting here saying we picked the Rams, but
Yep.
we cheered our heads off for those Lions. So
Sure did.
we're not those like. I know a lot of people are criticizing a lot of the Detroit media for taking the Rams in that game, but listen, like we've been Lions fans. Was born in '91, so this is basically the first playoff game that they've won in my lifetime. I think it was '92, but I was born in November of '91, so I was
Yeah.
probably 3 months old. So
Right.
this is the first playoff one in my lifetime, as is yours.
Mhm.
So yeah, our whole life has been disappointment from the Lions. So
Yeah.
forgive us for picking the Rams.
You know
This is
that towards the end of the game, sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah,
I'm just gonna bring this up. Towards the end of the game, they were shooting the crowd, and you saw those two people crying in the crowd. That was
yeah.
me.
Oh
That was
no,
me.
yeah. I was bawling my eyes out. I went to bed after the game, and my wife goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Did they lose?" I go, "No." Why are you crying? I'm like, 30 years in the making, dear. Like this
Yeah.
team has stunk my entire life.
We honestly never thought we would be here to win. I mean, look how happy we are with one win in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I texted a good
It was
friend of
like our
mine
Super
who's
Bowl game.
well, that's what I texted a good friend of mine who's actually in the comment section right now giving us crap for uh, basically calling the Packers America's team. But anyways, I uh, I told him I said, if the Lions make the Super Bowl this year, I don't think I can handle it emotionally.
No.
Let's do it next year. Let's do a Super Bowl run next year. But this year, let's just go to the NFC Championship game, lose the 49ers. I'll be happy with that this year.
Mhm.
And the way that the schedule's lining up, that's actually very well. Now, somehow the Packers get over the 49ers, and I want to go to the Super Bowl. I don't want the Packers to go to the Super Bowl.
No. No.
But, you know, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for at this point. And I even said at the beginning of the season, I don't think I said on the podcast, but I said it in person to somebody that the ceiling for this Lions team is the NFC Championship game. And people looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, no, that's this team. Like they're good enough to get there.
Mhm.
Now, how many times in our lifetime though have we said this Lions team is good enough to fill in the blank and
Quite
then
a bit.
they don't? So
Yeah.
yeah, this is uncharted territory for us,
Mhm.
and we are here for it. The Lions fans, like you said, we're all crying our eyes out. We are having a great time. We're enjoying this. Talking about the game though, there Puka Nakua, the rookie receiver for the Rams, had an absolutely amazing game. Actually, the entire Rams offense did. They just couldn't get the end zone. The biggest difference in this game was the Lions got 3 touchdowns in the red zone. The Rams got 3 field goals in the red zone, and
Can
that's
I just give a shout out to the red zone defense? Forget about the whole
yeah,
game, but that red zone defense when they went, I think it was 3 straight plays they tried getting it to Cooper Kupp, and Stafford could not connect.
yeah,
That was pretty impressive by the Lions defense, who everyone criticized because we know that, yeah, your star wide receiver is gonna easily put up 200 yards on us with a touchdown.
yep.
Um, but the fact that the defense in the red zone held them to what, 4 field goals, 3 field goals?
Um,
I can't
yeah,
remember.
I think so. This final score is 23, so they got 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals.
Yeah, so 3 field goal they
So
held them to 3 field goals in the red zone.
now I don't. Now, of course, I'm always criticizing coaching, I guess, so I can't say I
Mhm.
don't like doing it, but because I'm always doing it. But with 4 minutes left in the game and you have one timeout, fourth and what was it, 14?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was 61 yards, so I'm okay with not going with a field goal there. but you have to go for it, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to. With
Yeah.
one time out against a team. Now, granted, the Lions' offense didn't do a whole lot in the second half, but in that
Yeah.
situation, all they need is 2 first downs and the game's over.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if those 2 first downs happen at the 40-yard line or the 20-yard line.
Mhm. 'Cause you're I'm talking as the Rams, I'm talking here. Your
Yeah,
defense came out in the second half and pretty much pitched a shutout the whole game. Why would you not risk that
yeah,
and do that? And speaking of that, with a career field goal of 50 yards or plus, he is less than 45%. So you get a stop or two, you're making him try to kick another 50-yarder plus, and he's not very percentage-wise good at it.
are you talking
Now
about Bagwell?
yeah,
Badgewell, I mean?
Badgley,
Yeah,
yeah. I think he
Badgley,
was
yeah.
43% overall
Yeah,
from 50 yards or plus, and when Dan Campbell threw that out there, I was like, the one time he decides to kick it is a 50-plus yarder, and this guy may more than likely will not make it, and what do you know? That turned out to be the, game winner.
did you see we'll move on from this game here because now we are Lions fans. We're going to spend more time on this game just because, again, this is our Super Bowl.
Yes.
So we're going to spend a little bit more time here. Did you see Dan Campbell's post game in the locker room?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, so if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, basically he had 2 game balls. The first one he gave to Brad Holmes, which if you have me on Facebook, my personal account, I posted on there Brad Holmes for president.
Mhm.
And I firmly stand by that, by the way. He might be the best option out there, but we're not going political here. Next, he gave a game ball to Jared Goff, and he said, "You're good enough for Detroit."
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. And what obviously that was because the Lions played Stafford. You wonder if all week long he was reminding Jared Goff, or not like necessarily like negatively, but just like as fuel. Hey, they got rid of you. They didn't
Mhm.
want you. They basically said, "Here, we'll give you two first rounders, and we'll throw in Jared Goff for you too."
Right, yeah.
Like,
Oh, it was definitely,
yeah,
everyone talked about Stafford coming back, revenge game. I think Goff quietly wanted his revenge too.
yep,
He grew up in California. He went to California. Loved the Rams, and they said, "Yeah, you kind of got us to the Super Bowl, but we need a better option in quarterback. We're gonna ship you out of here. Go
yeah,
have fun. Thank you." And yeah, I mean, Jared Goff, I think it was a nice revenge game. And don't forget Josh Reynolds too, who
he had
first
a
quarter
yeah
put up
he had a nice game.
nice game. He was probably, quietly too thinking, all right, these guys don't want me anymore.
Yeah, which is kind of why I wanted. We'll get to this game in a little bit. I wanted the Eagles because Matt Patricia is now calling defensive plays for the Eagles. So I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to continue the revenge tour,
Right.
but obviously that is
One
not what happened.
one final thing before we wrap this up. Did you feel like Stafford was gonna lead the comeback like he always did when he
Oh
was
yeah,
playing for Detroit? Yeah.
yeah.
I was like,
Speaking of Stafford,
I know Stafford. I've seen this before.
yep.
It's 4-minute drive, or under 4 minutes. He has the ball. He's gonna get
I,
him chance to win the game.
there was 2 things going on in my head. I was like, he's either going to win this game or throw an interception, win the game for the Lions.
Mhm.
One last thing about Stafford before we move on. How did you feel? What was your thoughts about the crowd booing him when he came onto the field the first time?
Uh, I I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it.
So my thought about it, I don't think it was anything personal towards Stafford.
No,
I think
no.
I think it was more of support for Jared Goff, saying, "Hey, you're our guy now." That's
Yeah,
how
I
I
think
took it.
that, and when you have the crowd, chanting Jared Goff's name before anyone comes out, I think the
Yeah.
crowd rallied behind him. And I listened to a local guy in the morning, Anthony Bellino. I don't know if you've heard of him or listened to him. He does a
Yeah.
lot of in studio stuff for the Lions. He's also the PA announcer for both men and women's basketball for Michigan and Toledo, and also the on the field guy for football. But he took a cell phone video of, I think it was before anyone stepped on the field, and that crowd was chanting loudly, and you can clearly hear it through the phone that they're on unison of them chanting Jared Goff. I think that was pretty cool that the fans rallied around him
Yeah.
and was hyping him up.
Yep. Moving on, though, we spent way too much time on the Lions game, but forgive
Hey,
us
it was
for
like Super
diehard
Bowl,
Lions
all
fans.
right?
Yeah, it was our Super Bowl, so get over it. Next game we have for you guys is the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. They took on the Pittsburgh Steelers and won 31-17. This one, I honestly didn't get a chance to watch a lot of it with work, and I coach basketball too, so I was at basketball practice during most of this game. So I didn't get to watch most of it, but I'm not entirely shocked by the result here. I thought maybe with the weather, Pittsburgh would have a chance, but by the time they end up moving this game because the weather was just so bad on Sunday that
Yeah.
it was a safety hazard to get fans to the game, and people from Buffalo are passionate about their Bills. Well, be polite and say the word passionate.
They're very
Uh,
passionate.
yes. So basically, the only way to stop them from going to the Bills game is telling them there's no Bills game.
Right.
So it was probably the safe move there to move the game to Monday. But the Bills were able to hang on, win this one 31-17. Again, I didn't watch much of it. I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of it. I know with
I
work you were
watched a little
probably.
bit. I think what was the score? I think it was one possession game in the fourth quarter with the Steelers. Like they just scored when I turned it on. And then Buffalo kind of went down the field, and I think maybe one of the last score, Pittsburgh safety just kind of felt like he gave up on the tackle, and the dude shook him and ran it in for a touchdown. I was gonna ask you that. Do you think Tomlin's out of Pittsburgh? Do you think he's done with Pittsburgh? I know there was a press conference and someone
So,
kind of asked him about the contract, and he
yeah,
kind of walked off stage.
I don't think he'll get fired. Like, I think he's safe, and I don't think it's anything like that.
Well, he's never had a losing season, so
Yeah. Um, it's one of those things where I'd be shocked if Tomlin retired. I mean, he doesn't feel like he's that old,
right.
but I also believe, and I'm in the mindset that once that thought creeps into your head, you better retire, especially in sports, because sports is one of those professions that you have to be at 100% all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not at 100% all the time, I think you need to get out for everybody's safety sake.
Yeah.
If you're not 100% there, you're not going to be as good as you're at your job. And if you're coaching, your team's going to see the results of that. If you're a player, you're letting your teammates down. So yeah, if he's not fully there, fully committed, I think he's got to retire. But I don't know if he's said anything to anybody about retirement or if this is all speculation on the media.
I think it's all media speculation and
Yeah,
driven. Yeah, I was just curious about your thought of what you think he would do.
I think he's going to stay coaching. I mean, he doesn't seem that old. No, he's been doing it for a while with the Steelers. The
Yeah.
Steelers have had 3 head coaches since like 1970, I think, or something crazy like that,
Yeah.
which is absolutely insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, just think about it with the Lions. Like the last 10 years, we've had 5 coaches, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tomlin. Again, I think he stays. Moving on, though, to the final game of the weekend was Monday Night Football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Philadelphia Eagles. Tampa Bay absolutely dominated this game from basically the first snap. They were able to march down the field. I think they settled for field goals the first couple drives before getting an end zone. But Philadelphia just couldn't get anything going. And when they did get a touchdown, Tampa Bay jumped on the kick to go. So then the ball goes to the 1 yard line. So they do the tush push or the
Yeah.
brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. And
Right.
that didn't even work for the Eagles. That's how bad the game was for Philadelphia.
Right.
So Tampa Bay, they've won now 6 straight. So they are clicking at the right time, but they also just beat Carolina 9-0 last week. So I'm not entirely sure how convinced
Yeah.
I am with Tampa Bay yet. And
Right.
Philadelphia, like if they
They've gone.
beat Philadelphia week 10, 32-9, I'm like, holy crap, like that's a really good win.
Yeah.
But with how bad Philadelphia's been playing the last few games, I'm
Like
not.
last 7 games or whatever.
Yeah,
They've had like 2 wins.
basically ever since the 49ers game, they've just
Mhm.
been off.
Yeah.
So I'm not fully convinced that Tampa Bay is that great. Now, granted, they keep winning, so
Right.
and we'll talk more about them tomorrow, and because they're playing our Lions, so we'll definitely dig into that team a little bit more tomorrow. But going on to the Philadelphia side of things here, so Sirianni, does he come back?
I I think you gotta let him go.
I think yeah, you do.
Especially, I mean, the collapse. Like you said, after the 49, you start out 10-1, you're feeling good, you got everyone clicking, there's no drama in the locker room. And for whatever reason, after 49ers, you got everyone talking in the locker room. You got Hurts and AJ Brown talking. AJ Brown's probably wanting to trade or leaving. I don't know if he's a free agent, but he's not going to come back. Your defense is a joke because you have Patricia calling defense, and he's not a defense. He's not even a coach,
No.
as proven in Detroit.
Well, so I not that I'm going to defend Matt Patricia or anything like that because no, but there's a lot of guys out there who were head coaches that had no like for whatever reason they couldn't do the head coach thing, but they're really good coordinators.
Right.
Like Jim Schwartz, for example, he was an okay head coach,
Hmm.
but he's so much better at being a coordinator.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
now
There's guys that
Patricia,
should just stick to coordinating.
yeah, now Patricia just should stick to rocket science or whatever he went to
Hmm.
college for.
I agree.
But I mean, even when he was with the Patriots, like you wonder how much of it was Bill Belichick,
Oh, I
and I'm
think a lot
assuming,
of it was
yeah, I do too.
the
Uh,
biggest defensive play of the game in Super Bowl history was because of Belichick, not Patricia.
actually, it wasn't even Belichick. There was this. I
No,
don't
it
know
was
the
his
guy's name.
video dude, his
Yeah, they
video
had this.
scout or whatever.
They had this like guy. I saw an interview with him. It looked like it was
Mhm.
from like 1995
Yeah.
with like a home
Yeah,
recorder in the guy's basement. Like I'm like, who the
exactly.
heck is this guy? Ernie Adams or something like that. Something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, that's who was responsible for that play.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Patricia, yeah. And so basically now Philadelphia, you're probably going to get rid of your offense or defense coordinator. Your offense really didn't do a whole lot the last second half of the season. You're probably going to get rid of your offense coordinator. You might as well just clean the whole house
Yeah.
and especially the next slide we have here is Jason and Kelsey retiring, and so now your whole offensive line here is basically gonna. I mean, they're
Be
all getting up there in age, and Jason
yeah.
Kelsey is the glue. Like he
Oh,
is the
yeah.
glue of that offensive line. Like the brotherly shove does not work without Jason Kelsey.
Right. How many
So
other centers can you name besides Frank Ragnow and the Lions?
uh Corey Lindsey, I think he's with the Chargers.
Yeah. Alright,
Yeah. So
whatever.
there's one. Yeah,
I'm
whatever. See?
saying yeah,
Yeah. You're welcome.
nice pull.
Thank you. But yeah, center is one of those positions that unless if you have a really special one or it's the center of your team, you don't know who the center is. So it's also a long snapper. But like we don't even have Muleback anymore with Lions, so I have no idea who our long snapper is.
I think he came from, the Rams, to be honest.
Probably. Anyways, back to this game.
Yeah, rabbit hole, yeah.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay though, uh, I don't really know what to think of them. They got Baker Mayfield playing quarterback, but Baker Mayfield hasn't been Baker Mayfield this year. He actually acts like a grown up right now,
Mhm.
which good for him. Like I'm my second favorite team is the Browns, so I always wanted Baker to do well because he was with the Browns there for a while, and yeah, so I've always liked Baker. Now he's always had that little bit of chip on his shoulder, which I'm okay with that, but you have to learn how to control it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when you're in college and you're planting your flag at Ohio State's 50-yard line, as much as I love that as a Michigan fan,
Mhm.
that's just not something you want to be doing at the quarterback position.
Right.
So, but anyways, moving on. Like I said, Jason Kelsey has retired, allegedly retired from the NFL. If this is true, it was a heck of a career. Hall of Fame center.
Mhm.
And really, the only Hall of Fame center off the top of my head I can think of would be Webster with the Steelers from the 70s. And the
Right.
only reason we know about that name is because of the whole concussion thing.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
now, unless if you're like, an older person and you watched the Steelers in the 70s or sports in the 70s, that was probably a name you knew back then. But
Mhm.
yeah, we're 30 years old. We shouldn't be knowing that name, but we do because of all this concussion and League of Denial stuff.
Right.
But anyways, moving on to Kelsey. I like him. He
Mhm.
seems like a nice guy, cool dude with him and his brother Travis. They just seem like a couple guys you'd like to just hang out with, and it's kind of sad for Philadelphia here. Actually, really sad for Philadelphia. Like I said, their offensive line will probably be not as good next year.
Yeah.
It's different, I guess, but how do you be the guy that comes after Jason Kelsey in Philadelphia? Like, it's kind of like the same thought with like Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. Like, how do you follow that?
I was gonna say that too. Like, yeah, you're gonna yeah. I don't think you can follow it. You just hope that you're good enough. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how these guys are gonna follow the footsteps of, Kelsey and Saban, like you were saying.
yeah. One we just got this comment. I want to show it. He got voted for sexiest man alive in some kind of poll here recently, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you
offensive offensive linemen are not the most attractive people out there,
No,
but
big 300-pound dudes.
yeah,
Did you ever watch his documentary? Kelsey's documentary?
I have not. I've been
Okay.
meaning to though.
Yeah, I've heard great reviews. I haven't watched it either.
I still got to watch the Barry Sanders one.
Yeah.
So, but that is pretty much all we have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. One last thing I want to say here that I actually pinned this comment. I was also from the same person that told us about Kelsey being the sexiest man alive. You gotta admit, nothing would respark the rivalry like the Lions and Packers in the championship. Yeah, it would respark. Actually, I don't even. I think this whole season's resparked that rivalry. Just the Lions going into actually last couple of years, like
I
Lions going
I
to
would say the
Lambeau last year, and
last year when they knocked him out of the playoffs, yeah.
yeah, and like the Lions' whole sideline was like, "Well, if we're not going, you're not going."
Exactly.
And I think that did a lot. Now, obviously, a chip playoff game of that caliber would spark something too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for checking us out. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to tell your friends and family about us. We have, like I keep saying all the time, we have some exciting plans coming up. I am in the process of scheduling with Rounders, which is a history of baseball podcast. They're going to come on and help us with kicking off our movie series. Is probably what the plan is going to be. He's got some really cool information about different baseball movies, some insider information or historical facts he knows about the movies. So it should be a good time there. That'll probably be after the Super Bowl, especially if the Lions keep on winning. We want to focus a lot of energy on the Lions right now and the
Right.
NFL. So be on the lookout for all that, though. We'll give you guys more information when we get closer to that. Be sure to like us on Facebook. And yeah, like I said, tell all your friends and family and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Thank you guys so much. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow.